Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you near the tail end of a wild week or two or three, and we don't even know where the finish line is, if one even exists. But we know we've got time to wrap up this week with you inside the warm, the fuzzy, the active Matador Mob mailbag, and some questions to get to here today, so don't want to waste any time. Chris, first one, you guessed it, portal related, but fairly wide open. This one from Andrea, just asking about so far, given what we've seen develop, what's your favorite ad? That's a simple question, right? What stands out to you?
Yeah, it's impossible to answer that one too, just because it's almost like picking flavors of ice cream or pizza. Yes, right? I mean, I think, because this was all about the trenches to you and I. We have discussed this. I'm never going to back away from that. Ultimately, everything that you've added will ultimately be decided by, I guess, the 7 guys that you added up front. 4 on the defensive side, 3 on the offensive side. I'd probably tell you that I was most excited about Howard Sampson and Lee Hunter. I think I think a sneaky good addition, and I've kind of mentioned this to you multiple times here, Cole Wisniewski. I just think he's a really good football player from North Dakota State, and I'm watching that head coach a week ago sipping on Mountain Dew in a press conference, and they're still in the playoffs, and he was pissed about losing Wisniewski to the portal. And I don't know. He's a guy that is around the ball all the time. I just think I love his size. He's got some draft grades. I mean, I don't know. And he's an older one, and he's played in a really good program. Shout out to you, North Dakota State head coach that loves your Mountain Dew. I don't know your name off the top of my head. It escapes me. But that's I'll give you that answer, I guess. Wisniewski. But I mean, ultimately, Sampson and Hunter are probably my 2 favorite line additions. But I feel like I'm cheating so many guys, because you can, last year we would have said Anthony Holmes. We would have said Skylar Gill-Howard. We would have said Hunter Zambrano. We would have said Will Jados. I mean, it's like, where does it stop? So, and then the sexy positions like the running back and the receiver, I mean, you just added a running back that just visited Ohio State, for goodness sakes, and you got him over the Buckeyes. You kidding me? And OU was really salty about not getting Reggie Virgil. So it's just this whole thing has been fascinating. As Joey McGuire said when he last met with the media, we got dudes.
They got dudes. I got to go Lee Hunter. I mean, that's a position I covet elsewhere whenever you see a guy like that in somebody else's uniform. And now I'm going to be in the red and black, so I got to go up front defensively with the big man. Chris, thank you for that question, Andrew, by the way. Chris, we had several asking, sticking with the defensive front, about chances for other additions there, namely a lot of folks mentioning the defensive tackle from Georgia, Brian Hunter, Hayden Brian with an I instead of a Y. We had all the Brians interested in this defensive tackle. David and Nathan all asked about that cat specifically. And more broadly, are we finished up front defensively? Is there still room for another defensive lineman?
They're asking about Jamal Jarrett. I think Anthony Holmes is your guy instead, is what I'm going to gather. I'm not going to rule anything out, because I think if there's a deal to be made with Jarrett or whatever, I don't think you'll rule it out. He's got 3 years to play. There's also some things with Jarrett too that kind of come with him that I think you don't want to gloss over. But I think that if there's still a fit there, I think. But I'm just gonna connect some dots there and think that, okay, you got your second, you got your other defensive tackle, and that was Anthony Holmes at the time when you were already had one in the boat, and you were we're gonna add one or two more. So, and I think it was important, and then the Holmes one, while he doesn't come with the Georgia brand, he comes with the Shield Wood brand, and there's some familiarity there. And I'm telling you, Anthony Holmes has already done a lot more in his college career than at this level than somebody like Jarrett. Jarrett is a bigger player. Would have the extra year. And so we'll see. I'm not going to rule anything out here, man. I'm just not. Yeah. I think, but that's who they're asking about is Jamal Jarrett. But that's what. So we'll see, because there's going to be Joey's comment was, after we get a running back, after we get a place kicker and all that, we'll kind of see what the next phase looks like. We'll kind of take a breather and then get ready for phase 2. So,
gotcha. You mentioned kicker. Robert asked for any update on a kicker. Is there one in the sights or one to be added? Sounds like it.
Oh, yeah. He played at Buffalo last year. He was 14 of 16. Upton Belafont. Phenomenal name.
Gotcha. That is an incredible name. Back to the trenches. This was a popular question this week also from Hayden, Nathan, Robert, Brian, and Sally, all asking about something that got some attention not too long ago. A 5-star high school offensive lineman, Tai Haywood. Is he still on the radar? What was this story about? Any update there?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to go this route. I think that you added Ellis Davis's teammate on signing day or whatever, who had like decommitted from A&M, and there was some numbers, there was some scholarship numbers being shuffled around everywhere, and I think he kind of that was an extra ad. But see, this is the dilemma you have. I think you could have signed this player. I think they made the conscious decision to say, okay, if we go this route and we with what it may take financially, and he doesn't play, because are you willing to try to high school freshman out there at tackle? No, you can't. That is not good business. And I think they decided, because then you could end up being in the same spot you were with Micah Hudson. It's like, well, we did this, we got him here, and everybody's asking about him, but he's just not ready to help us right now, because we're trying to win yesterday. And so I think that you spent your focus on guys like Jados and Sampson. And Sampson is somebody, though, that's got like multiple years to play. So I think that's like the trade-off a bit. But that's the dilemma you have when you start targeting people and you only have so many spots and all the while. But I think with the 6th high school offensive lineman that you signed, which was a late ad, and then you end up with Sampson, who's got multiple years to play. That's kind of your answer to adding a player like that. So again, I'm not going to rule it out, but I think this was the decision that they made, and that's why I kept saying when they added that 6th high school offensive lineman, if you were a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore that hadn't been traveling or hadn't pushed through when they're emptying the bench, you just wonder. Yeah. And then, you see Caden Carr hit the portal and Garrett Morphus hit the portal, things like that. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Appreciate that question. This is also a popular topic of conversation, war chests, a phrase that's been heard on this program here this week, Chris. And we had Clayton, we had Nicholas, we had Robert, we had Kyler asking about the Red Raider war chest. Where'd it come from? Why'd they open it this year instead of operating more like they did last year? What can you tell us about not only the cash, but the motivation also among this group that has sprung into action this time around?
There's a lot there in that question. I do think there was funds available last year. I think that everybody was a bit, not just Tech, but a lot of people were caught off guard by whatever we've touched on this, specifically linemen, right? And I think as they got a better feel for things and you get a little motivated and all those things, then but So Cody Campbell, John Sellers, obviously the double eagle guys, and Cody has been directly involved with the organization of the football attack here. I think that he has absolutely helped with budget and helped with getting them organized, and he kind of approves things from the Matador Club based on kind of what Joey said. And I think there's been a lot of contact between those parties. But I do think that it was really McGuire and Blanchard and staff that identify, okay, here's what we need. Now who fits in these spots? And I think Cody and the group, they let Joey and his people identify and the analytics. I just think that Cody and them were kind of in lockstep and like, okay, just explain what we're doing and have at it. But as far as like who all participated in this, I don't want to, and Cody would be the first one to tell you, it wasn't just him. He's had some fun on social media, and then the "I will" quote, and I tweeted yesterday. It's gone from now "I will" to "he did." So put that on a shirt now. But Tim Culp and Midland, and then I think a guy that helped substantially. And he may get mad at me for mentioning his name, but Coach McGuire did yesterday. But Gary Peterson in Houston. So I think why they didn't do it last year, it wasn't that they didn't. I just think they're a lot more well organized. I also think that the rules are in place right now to where this could be, and I think they're kind of operating at this was an opportunity and a window to really take advantage and to kind of operate and let's get organized and let's take advantage of this opportunity or window before the rules change. That's why I get as excited about all these multi-year guys that you've added as much as anything, because I don't think you'll see a lot of or near as much portal movement next year. And I think you could theoretically have locked up Howard Sampson on a 3-year contract. Quentin Joyner could be on a 3-year contract. Bryce Pollock could be on a 2-year contract. And so I think that, you may not see guys playing for 3 or 4 schools in 3 or 4 years anymore. But I just appreciate their organization and the way they went about this. But yeah, it was an impressive display. And now you just hope wins follow, and you're not guaranteed anything, but we've gotten, the next 7 to 9 months to talk about all that.
Well, kind of along those same lines, Mike asked about who was driving this engagement was, because I think I know Matador Mobsters have asked about like a Hocut or a McGuire role versus a Campbell or those in that type of position role. And I think there's still a lot of confusion out there about what the university even does within this space or is allowed to do within this space, which I believe is nothing. First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Never sweat buying tickets to your favorite event again with Gametime. It's always a breeze using the Gametime app where you're going to find the best last-minute deals, and I love being able to scout out a view from any seat before pulling the trigger. Of course, you're always doing it at the lowest price guaranteed. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it begins, which means you can finish off that final brat, that final beer at your own pace at the tailgate, because Gametime is the place to find last-minute seats to any event. Gametime gives you the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets, but not just fast, also secure and simple to use. So right now, download the Gametime app and create an account and use our promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. I think there's still a lot of confusion out there about what the university even does within this space or is allowed to do within this space, which I believe is nothing.
Yeah, I don't think Kirby or President Skuvanek or Chancellor Mitchell they can't really get involved in this deal. Now that's going to change, okay, at some level when the university kind of takes control, and these are university contracts with some of these players post July 1st next year if the settlement gets approved, which we all expect it to.
Yeah.
So this is simply head coach and his staff saying, well, these are the needs we have on our team. And these are people going, we love football. We have done very well in business. The oil business is good. The energy business is good. Let's sit and chat. What is this going to take? Okay, because the people that whether you're a small donor or a massive donor, what you're donating for, people can choose to give their money to all kinds of different causes, to businesses, to give it to charity, to give it to their kids, put whatever, save it. I don't know. But people are ultimately focused on this task because of the emotion that they hope that it gives them. There is an emotion out there that on if you can, because I think people have gotten a kick out of the last week and a half. I think that is probably, I think a lot of people have enjoyed that part. Okay. But ultimately, you want to have these emotions spill over into next fall and hopefully next December.
Right.
And that's ultimately what I think some of these folks are wanting to be a part of, is put yourself in the best position you can. There's no guarantees here. And I think people are going to just jump to conclusions and assume, Big 12 champs, man, print the shirts. No, it's very difficult. Nobody goes undefeated anymore and all those things. What you've done is you've greatly increased your margin for error. I think you've now put a team together on paper, if the culture's right and the chemistry's right, where you may be able to show up to some of these games, not play well and still win. Maybe not have to play your perfect game and still win. Or if you do play really well, you can beat some of the best teams in the country. That's like margin for error type stuff that I'm talking about, as opposed to, okay, we got to have a running back run for 100 yards. You got to get 3 takeaways. You can't turn it over, or otherwise we have no chance kind of deal. You know what I mean? So that's all that factors in. But it's just we can spend a lot of time on that particular topic in the coming weeks and months, because it's worth touching on from a variety of different ways. But there's a lot of people involved, but everybody in lockstep, and there's trust here, there's alignment here, and not every place has that.
Appreciate that question. This from Monty, Leonard, and Steven asking, essentially, did the coordinators have any idea what was about to happen when they were hired? I'm sure the ambition had to be kind of shared,
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that the contract numbers for both coordinators are out now, public. Both come here on 3-year contracts. Their average salaries are ultimately going to average out into the million plus range. So Texas Tech really stepping up there. But these guys have job security, and then you are protected too if somebody wants to come try to snipe one away from you. I think they were probably shared the vision of kind of what the plan was, what we want to do here, the details of said plan, and then they just got to sit back and watch it get executed. And I think it was nearly flawless execution of said portal plan. That much I am pretty sure of. I can't say that they were 15 of 15 or 16 for 16 in every case. That may not exactly been right, but I guarantee you they were batting well over 90% or 900, however you want to phrase that. Oh yeah, I mean, you're just like, very impressive display by James Blanchard and Brian Nance, Wesley Harwell, Sean Kinney, Joey McGuire, his staff. I think various players get involved here in hosting some of these players. Caleb, a lot of your seniors, your Taj Brookses, your Caleb Rogers, but then the folks like Gary Peterson and John and Cody with the Double Eagle guys, and then Tim Culp, Dusty Womble that Joey mentioned. But it just takes a group effort. But the beautiful thing is everybody seems to be on the same page. It's the same goal. It's get to Arlington and try to win this thing. That's what all of this is about, and pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, including right down to one of my neighbors, Ray, showed me a $500 receipt for a Matador club contribution. He said that was his Christmas present to himself. He's told his wife he's trying to buy a defensive tackle. Nothing could make him happier. And here's Lee Hunter. Merry Christmas to Ray. and all contributors who are making this kind of thing possible. All right. Appreciate that question. This one, a popular one as well, Chris, because of all of this. Can it be sustained? How could it be sustained? This from Eric, Mike C. Kyle was asking about that. Andrew, Brett. Can they continue this run not only through this cycle, but in the future, years to come?
Well, again, that's when we get back to the way the rules are. I don't think you're going to be able to do some of the same things that you're doing right now next December. Again, I want to make sure that people understand we don't exactly know what the rules will look like. We think we know, but I think there's a lot of assumptions being made, and I think that's what everybody's kind of like operating that these are, because next December you can't throw around necessarily, crazy money through the collective. It's the universities that are all under contract, and like you can go buy out a kid out of a contract. Like how crazy is that? Hey man, I know you're on a 1-year deal there. We'll give you a 2-year deal. Give you a raise. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and that's Joey was even talking about, like, there's all these agents and player reps and all this and that, taking percentages from these kids and trying to facilitate deals. And they're the ones that are shopping their athletes around, and everybody's accusing people of tampering and all that, when it's really not schools necessarily tampering. It's like the agents going, hey man, you interested? What right. I got somebody for you. Like what will it take? All that stuff. And so again, I go back to, of the portal guys you've just added, I don't know, it's not quite half, but close to half that class, they will be here next season as well, would be the hope. And I do think, though, I guess the way I would answer that question, until we know the rules and how NIL will really work, I know what they're telling me now. You and I have talked about this. I don't know if I buy that, that you can't do it. It's got to be market value, whatever. I think there'll be a lawsuit, whatever. But you're here to play. Yeah. You mean business. You have done everything you possibly could. You've paid your people well. Player, coach, you've got facilities. You have tried to put the best structure in place. When people have tried to come get your people, you've paid them well. You've brought in new people and paid them well and tried to keep them here. You have, created a structure and an organization with your staff. You've got a personnel department and the facility thing, but all of it. So you're here trying to. So I hope it doesn't go away, but I don't. This isn't some 1-year hit to where it's like, okay, the chips are in the middle of the table. Oh, we crapped out. Okay, well, I guess we go home. No, that's not the plan. The chips are in the middle of the table, but I think they'll stay there within, and then you'll try to figure out, okay, how can we attack it now? What do we do now? But you'll see them continue to try to recruit at a very high level, whether it be out of the portal or high schools.
Thank you for that question. This question from Kevin and Jonathan asking about this also. Could Tech still be portal active whenever the spring comes around? If so, yes. What do you think they might be targeting?
I think that's an unknown, but the answer is yes. I think that's an unknown because I think you need to let it cycle through on, do any of your young players that you may not necessarily want to lose. I'm just afraid that they're, I don't know who, but I mean, there may come a day when you're like, damn, that one, I don't like that. And you want to maybe go try to replace them in the portal with something. So I don't know if I could answer that question on what it would be, just because you don't know what position group that would need to be attacked. And on paper right now, I don't really see any glaring weakness. That's what's crazy about what you and I have talked about. On paper, again, that's as of now, there's just not too much out there that you're like, okay, you still need this, or this isn't. I mean, looks pretty good to me. Not that you're guaranteed anything, but there's just not a lot of holes on this roster on paper at any position, but that could change. I mean, I don't know.
Well, unfortunately, you can't win anything on paper, so you got to go out there and actually do it. But the paper is looking mighty fine. as we sit here today. And some of those guys you speak of, as far as some that you may lose,
the paper is cardstock.
We've got some cryptic tweet antennas perked up out among the Matador Mob, Chris, after our conversation earlier in the week. And Dean was asking about this. Kent asked about this. Have you noticed any cryptic tweeting from the likes of maybe Duda Banks or Mo Horn or some of these other guys? I've seen tweeting, but it's hard to know where the line is between cryptic or just tweeting. First, today's episode brought to you by the College Football Playoff. It's that time of the year. The College Football Playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading into our first matchup, the SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. It's hard to know where the line is between cryptic or just tweeting.
Yeah, they're sending out pictures. Yeah, they're sending out pictures of themselves, and I think if you're into that kind of stuff, show those guys some love. I don't know what it necessarily means. It may not mean anything. It's just maybe a hello. This is the game that everybody's playing though these days, and we are as guilty as anybody. At least I am in this space, and maybe you are too, Cowan, just because you're guilty by association with me. We are guilty of talking about and talking up the new toy, the new piece, and we forget about the incumbent and the ones that are there, the program guys. Like ultimately, years from now, who's going to come around and associate with Texas Tech at the end of the day? Duda Banks or Lee Hunter? You know what I mean? And not everybody's going to be like Jalen Conyers. I hope all these portal guys that are going to show up at that team meeting on January the 14th, I hope they are all Jalen Conyers and that they buy in, that they play in the bowl game, that they are in no matter if the season gets a bit tricky or not, that they are in, that they love this place. They try to sell it to the next crop of guys coming in. We could all only hope so much, okay? That is probably Pollyanna-ish for us to think along those lines. It's just not reality. But there's something to be said, like when you got to senior day this year and your Taj Brookses, like a Jackson Knotts, your Mason Tharps, your Caleb Rogerses. Am I missing anybody else? Joseph Plunk. Guys that started here and finished here. These are unicorn type folks. And I think that those you've got a big nucleus on your team. And I hope that you keep a lot of that. So, but just keep an eye on everything that's going on, man, because you're going to play this bowl game on the 27th. The end of the portal window is the 28th. You can get into the 28th and 29th before it actually becomes official, even though they may have entered their name. And we'll just kind of see. And just because somebody gets in the portal, it doesn't mean they're actually going to leave you. Right. The Cameron Valdez example is a good one. I mean, heck, you've got Jordan Brown and Brady Boyd and Jake Strong. I think amongst some that are in the portal now, but are gonna play in the bowl game with you. So there's all kinds of ways these things can go. So we'll see.
All right, thank you for that question. Evan and Matt asked if you could project a 2025 starting offensive line.
If they're all healthy and everything, I would have a hard time not saying it's not Sampson, Scurry, Wilson, Zambrano, and Jados, and from left to right. Yeah, the end. What else? Right. Next question.
Bowl game offensive line projection from Brad. What about in a week and a half? Do you know who we're going to see?
Ponton, Porsche, Wilson, Carter, Rogers, left to right.
All right. Good to know. Ask a question, get an answer, double time there. Brad was also asking about your favorite Texas Tech bowl moment. You've seen some good ones.
Yeah, I have. I don't know, man. Sun Devil Stadium, Tempe, Arizona in 2006 was a doozy because I saw a minor miracle take place. I mean, really. I mean, what was it, 38-7? Is that right? Am I right there? Or is it like 35-7, 38? I think it's 38-7. And it was just like, God, what are we doing? And then next thing you know, Glenn Mason gets fired. I mean, to which honestly pissed Mike Leach off. But that was I almost have to go back and watch it just because like there's no way that really happened. And I'm like, and I saw it. I was there. That game was on like the NFL Network back when the NFL Network was brand new and it wasn't well. A lot of stations didn't carry it. It wasn't on cable. It was a unique deal, so not everybody could watch that game. And it kicked off like at 8 or 9 o'clock Central Time. So I'm sitting there back in the hotel room at like, I guess it would have been like 1:30 Central Time, and I'm just like sitting there like going, what just happened? But that's probably one that sticks out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun and just unbelievable for any college football fan to witness that, whether it's your team or not. I also enjoyed spanking Cal in San Diego. Thought that was a pretty good time too.
There's a lot of Jacksonville, Florida. Back in the 07 was a good one. I mean, honestly, the last time I was at the Liberty Bowl, for all kinds of different reasons, the emotions that night were special. Joey's there about to take over, but I loved Cumbie and Keith Patterson. Those guys, and Keith Patterson has done a phenomenal job. Sonny's trying to get Louisiana Tech right. They're going to be in a bowl game. But it was just a lot of emotion, like raw emotion that night, because this staff was about to get splintered apart. Nobody really knew where they stood and where they were going and all this stuff. And then you had the whole Mike thing on the other sideline. And I just think it was like the Mike Leach curse and all these things. It was just, there was a lot to try to consume. In that game, you just blew them out. So there was a lot. I mean, Darcel was there on the other sideline. I mean, it's just so, and I think about all the kind of a full circle, I guess, when we go back next week, but wild day that night too.
Nick asked, how often do you charge your phone during the day during portal season?
It's stayed on the charger, and my phone gets mad at me because it says you're trying to charge it too much. And there's some word that comes up that says optimizing for clean energy only or something. So it's almost acting like I'm trying to plug it in too much. And
clean energy. This is portal season.
Whatever.
iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't worried about clean energy right now.
This has been, you and I have had these conversations before. It's like in recent days, but this has been one of the damnedest things I have ever been a part of.
Yeah.
We couldn't predict the timing. We couldn't predict exactly how it was going to fall into place. As it finished up at the tail end, it was easy to predict because it's like, well, of course they're getting this dude. This is who they want. But its onset, it all happened relatively quickly. Like when you look at what they were able to do, sometimes it used to take a year and a half to put a high school recruiting class together. They essentially did the equivalent of that in a week plus in real time, and then whatever lead work that they had to do to get ready for it. Pretty damn fascinating.
No doubt.
Unprecedented times are these. Yes.
A couple more questions from Jeremy, Aaron, and Trent asking about any young player you're excited to see get an opportunity in the bowl game.
I think it's worth noting that in the last couple of bowl games, you've had young defensive player. Well, Tyree Wilson wasn't necessarily young, but in the first time in Memphis, he kind of flashed big time. And you're like, oh yeah, because he had 2 or 3 sacks in that game. I think that the year after it was Isaac Smith that we've touched on recently, and he kind of really flashed. You're like, whoa, who is this guy? And then last year it was Amir Washington. I think you've heard a lot about Ashton Hampton, who's a corner. I think that I'll be interested to see kind of, because I'm not really sure who's playing in this thing just yet to be. But I mean, I'm going to go with an easier answer for me because I'm fascinated by Hammond, Ponton, and Jacoby Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to give me like a next, I would say maybe a younger DB, but then I would Kelby Valson and a younger receiver or something. But I can't, left tackle, quarterback, running back, because I know those guys are going to play. I certainly think, and I think they'll probably play really, really well. And that gets me really excited about being in this game and seeing it up close, or those kind of, because this is a glimpse into the future is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. In a big way, bigger than we even anticipated, I think. All right, Craig, Brad, and Colt asking about 2025 scheduling. As in, do you know when we could get a full release? Any tidbits you've come upon yet? Friday games or other atypical things as it relates to the schedule?
I believe you'll get the schedule officially released to you at some point in January. I don't know if that's early in January or at the end of January. You already know your homes and aways. You're going to have 7 home games, 5 road games in the conference. So you already know. It's just a matter of how they're structured and all that. It won't surprise me if you do play on a non-Saturday at some point this next season. You dodge that this year. Will that be? And I certainly hope that's not one of your 4 home weekends that you're on a non-Saturday. That would be I think very frustrating to all involved. But we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, your road trips are all going to be, I don't know, pretty interesting. Kansas State never goes well there for the Red Raiders, except for one time. You're going to go play Rich Rod in Morgantown. You're going to go to Tempe, which is a phenomenal trip. If you get a chance to go to Tempe, just to check out Mill Avenue and just everything that Arizona State's got going. I mean, the campus of Arizona State is 6 minutes away from the Phoenix airport. 6 minutes. And they are the defending Big 12 champs. You'll play those guys. I forgot you're going to Salt Lake City, which is a beautiful stadium. It sits up in the mountains. But as far as scheduling, I think you'll get it in January at some point. Past that, I know no more tidbits.
Let's see here. Round number on the Portal Feast price tag so far?
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable going that route. It's impressive, but it's not just like, oh my God, it's I'll say this. I'll probably answer it this way. It's probably close to what you may think, but some people are going to go, like all these guys aren't like $1 million players or anything like that. That would be way far-fetched.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen all the stuff about Micah Hudson out there and people believing social media and everything and like buying into stuff. Well, you've ruffled enough feathers out there to where I saw an Oklahoma State graphic made that got passed around everywhere, and it was accusing Texas Tech of being investigated because they were getting money from the Mexican cartel to make all this happen.
Cartel, yeah,
exactly, yeah. And I had it sent to me a couple of times, like, dude, seriously? And I'm like, people believe anything, man. You put it on a graphic, send it out there. It's just like, it's wild. If I see it enough times, it's got to be true.
I'd be more worried about the people texting you saying, dude, seriously, are these guys all right? You think that was real?
I mean, again, I was sent the Micah Hudson thing and the cartel thing by people that should know better.
Come on, guys.
But again, if enough people read it and believe it and it just gets passed around enough, or it gets reformatted, or it's got the right deal, and you're driving and see it and go, oh my God. I mean, you're not in the right frame of mind to sit and pay attention to all that. But yeah, man. But I just enjoyed the feather ruffling that somebody's out there getting all bent because you're portaling well.
Speaking of bent, Jarrett asks, can you drown from being drunk on too much Kool-Aid?
No. This stuff is supposed to be fun. I think that you have to understand that you're highly unlikely to go undefeated and all that. Okay, so even if in best case scenarios, but it's supposed to be fun. Enjoy it when good things happen, and I think this has been really good. I think you should sit back and enjoy this process, like embrace it, get excited, let your emotions out there, and don't be afraid. I'm not going to buy in because I don't want to get let down like I've been for the last 50, 60 years. I mean, that's a tough way to live if you're not willing to ever let yourself, step out there a bit. And again, you have to understand this stuff is hard. Okay, staying healthy, being lucky, getting the right call at the right time, playing well, 12, 13, 14 weeks or whatever it is every week is unrealistic. And so there's a lot that goes into this. And then we mentioned the chemistry and the culture and all the stuff that you can't really touch or see, but it may be as important as anything. But I would say feel free to get excited. You should be, and suck down the Kool-Aid by the jugful, because you've added so many people that the blue bloods wanted, and in some cases you get them for multiple years, and all the stuff. But you're replacing 2 coordinators. I mean, there's just a lot that's going on here. But I'm damn excited. I mean, skip it to August 30th, man. As far as I'm concerned, and I just tell me what happened in Memphis if you want to go ahead and skip to August 30th. But I can't wait to see these boys suit up. I just want to see what it looks like physically. Like, I want to see it in comparison to how it, like, I'll kind of be puffy chested if you want my honest opinion. Like, yeah, I got a double T on. Those are my boys right out there. We finally looked the part now, all that stuff. I'll get excited about that if I can nerd out a bit, because I've sat there on the sideline and I've watched Oklahoma and Texas and Ole Miss and LSU and in different times going, oh, damn, this may not go well. So it's nice to try out a bunch of big dudes out there that look the part, that are polished and ready to ball. But anyway, so there you go. That's my rant.
No doubt. And it's fun to spend other people's money. So just a whole lot of fun.
Cherry Kool-Aid, though. Cherry Kool-Aid or grape, I would say, if you're going to chug it.
All righty. Chris, appreciate the insights. Thanks to our mobsters for all the questions. Appreciate y'all for being out there, of course, every day. And Chris, stand by, because the party's not over yet, I suppose. So we'll see you for the next round whenever it comes.
Deep breaths, people. It's been a whale of a week-ish, 2 weeks, whatever. We will talk to you next time. We'll be talking some bowl game and some roster movement and some things going on. So anyway, we appreciate it. We love you all. Guns up. And we'll keep portaling. It ain't ever over, people. It ain't ever over.
Nothing is ever over.
Yeah, that's right.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you guys for being out there, and thanks to the everydayers for always being along for the ride. Again, shout out to the Matador Mob. If you're interested in becoming one of those, just hit the show notes, find the link there for a free 14-day trial. It's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text and straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks for being out there, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.